Article 6. Debts, Supremacy, and Oaths. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. The Articles of Confederation, the government before the Constitution, had incurred the debt of the Revolutionary War, among other things, and this clause permits the federal government to adopt and to pay the national debt legally. In some ways, this is constitutional permission for our country to have and to hold debt, though this is of great concern to our modern situation, with debt ever increasing, seemingly regardless of which political party holds control in the presidency or in the Congress. As of February 2020, the U.S. debt totaled $23 trillion. There is a widely held belief that China owns most of that, but in fact, according to the U.S. Treasury Department, China owns approximately $1 trillion of the 23, and China is not even the largest foreign owner of U.S. debt. That goes to Japan. Of the $23 trillion, the U.S. Treasury actually owes other U.S. government agencies 25% of that debt, and most of the debt that we owe to ourselves is owed to Social Security. Of the 75% that the U.S. doesn't owe to its own agencies, only a third of the remaining 75% is owed to foreign nations. The other 2/3 of that goes to pensions, monetary authorities, mutual funds, individual, state, local governments, banks, insurance companies, etc. For example, the individuals. If you were to buy a U.S. savings bond, you would own government debt up to the amount of money that's on that bond. I owned U.S. debt in terms of several $1,000s of it until I bought a fence and a dishwasher. The Constitution goes on to say, "This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding." This is the Supremacy Clause, that this Constitution is the supreme law of the land. No individual, no position, no representative, no president, no judge, nothing is above this Constitution. No law, nothing. This raises an interesting question in terms of federalism as well, especially regarding marijuana. Some states have legalized marijuana, but it violates federal law. This is only okay if the executive branch does not enforce the national law. Otherwise, state law is forced to yield to all federal and constitutional law. The Constitution goes on to say, "The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution." This oath was the first act of Congress in 1789. It was first signed by George Washington. Please also note that the oath is to support this Constitution. The oath is not to support the country. The oath is not to support the people. The oath is to support the Constitution. And the Constitution will do the work of supporting both the country and the people. It would be possible for an individual in the name of the country to violate the rights given in this Constitution for the benefit of the country. It would also be true if you were to support the people or the good of most of the people, that you could trample on the rights of the minorities or some other people. And again, the Constitution itself prevents that. The Constitution goes on to say that no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So why can't we just make sure that all politicians are Christians? Because the Constitution forbids it. This raises an interesting question about swearing the oath. There is a view that people have to swear an oath on the Bible. However, that would violate the religious test clause of the Constitution, and there is no law stating that anyone has to swear in on a Bible.